Good day everyone. I am Shotimark A. Repol and I am here to discuss about research design of qualitative research. Now let us proceed. What is a qualitative research? Qualitative research is a broad field of inquiry that uses unstructured data collections such as observations, interviews, surveys, and documents to find themes and meanings to inform our understanding of the world. Qualitative research tends to try to cover the reasons for behaviors, attitudes, and motivations instead of just the details of what, where, and when. Qualitative research can be done across many disciplines such as social sciences, healthcare, and businesses, and it is a common feature of nearly every single workplace and educational environment. Now let us proceed to the qualitative research design. First, we've got biographical study. A biographical study is often the first design type that comes to mind most people. For example, consider O'Brien's John F. Kennedy, a biography. The author that takes a collection of archival documents, interviews, speeches, and other writings in various media, such as pictures, audio, and video footages, to present a comprehensive story of John F. Kennedy in the general sense. A biographical study is considered an exhaustive account of a life experience. However, just as some studies are limited to single aspects of a phenomenon, the focus of a biographical study can be much narrower. The film Madame Curie is an example. Crawford studies the film from a biographical perspective to present the reader with an examination of how all aspects of film, director's perspective, actors, camera angles, historical setting, work to present a biography. Read the introduction and scan the text to get a feel for this perspective. Next, we've got phenomenology. Your first step should be to take this word apart. Phenomenon refers to an occurrence or experience. Logical refers to a path toward understanding. So, we have a occurrence and a path, which leads to a way of looking at the phenomenon from an individual's point of view. The reactions, perceptions, and feelings of an individual or group of individuals as she or he experience an event are principally important to the phenomenologist, looking to understand an event beyond purely quantitative details. Next, we've got the grounded theory. In a grounded theory study, interpretations are continually derived from a raw data. A keyword to remember is emergent. The story emerges from the data. Often researchers will begin with the broad topic, then use qualitative methods to gather information that defines a research question. For example, a teacher might want to know what effects the implementation of the dress code might have on discipline. Instead of formulating specific questions, a grounded theorist would begin by interviewing students, parents, and or teachers, and perhaps asking students to write an essay about their thoughts on a dress code. The researcher would then follow the process of developing themes from reading the text by coding specific samples using a highlighter, maybe, or where respondents mention common things. Resistance might be a common pattern emerging from the text, which will then become a topic to further analysis. Next, we've got ethnography. Those with sociology or anthropology backgrounds will be most familiar with this design. Ethnography focuses on meaning largely through direct field observation. Researchers generally, though not always, become part of a culture they wish to study, then present a picture of that culture through the eyes of its members. One of the most famous ethnographers is Jane Goodall, who studied chimpanzees by living among them in their native East African habitat. Next, we got case study. A case study is an in-depth analysis of people, events, and relationships bounded by some unifying factor. An example is An example is principal leadership in middle schools. Important aspects include not only the principal's behaviors and views on leadership, but also the perception of those who interact with her or him. The context of the school outside constituents comparison to other principals and other quantitative variables. Often you may see a case study labeled ethnographic case study, which generally refers to a more comprehensive study focused on a person or group of people as the above example. Next, we've got how to do a qualitative research. First one is decide on a question you want to study. A good research questions need to be clear, specific, and manageable. To do qualitative research, your question should explore reasons for why people do things or believe in something. The research question is one of the most important pieces of your research. It determines what you want to learn or understand and also help to focus the study, since you can't investigate everything at once. Your research question will also shape how you conduct your study, since different questions require different methods of inquiry. Next, we get do a literature review. Do a, litera- do a literature review is a process of studying what others have written about your research question and particular topic. You read widely on the large field and examine studies that relate to your topic. You then draw up an analytical report that synthesizes and integrates the existing research, rather than simply presents a short summary of each study in chronological order. In other words, you are researching the research. Next, we've got evaluate whether qualitative research is the right fit for your question. Qualitative methods are useful when a question cannot be answered by a simple yes or no hypothesis. Often, qualitative research is especially useful for answering how or what questions. They are also useful when budgetary decisions have to be taken into account. For example, if your research question is what is the meaning of teachers work to second career teachers, that is not a question that can be answered with a yes or no. Is there likely to be a single overarching answer? This means that qualitative research is the best route. Next is consider your ideal sampling size. Qualitative research methods don't rely as heavily on large sample sizes as quantitative methods, but they can still yield important insights and findings. For instance, since it's unlikely that you have the funding to be able to study all second teachers everywhere in the United States, perhaps you choose to narrow your study to a major urban area like New York, or schools within 200 kilometers of where you live. Consider the possible outcomes. Number 5, we've got choose a qualitative research methodology. Choose a qualitative research methodology. The design of qualitative research is the most flexible of all the experimental techniques, so there are a number of accepted methodologies available to you. And that is my report. Thank you for listening.